Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling review series. We are moving into July of 1992. July 11th of 92 is our episode for this moment. And Legion of Doom versus Barry Hardy and Kerry Davis. Legion of Doom, of course, former tag team champions at this point. They have gone to Chicago, gotten Rocco the Doll, and I think this is the beginning of the end of their career. Of course, they're basically out of here soon after SummerSlam, so it's only a month or two away before the end of the LOD as a push group. I don't know where Rocco was going to go. Also surprising to me that at this point, you know, we're seeing that Rocco doll. I wonder if they were gonna make. Wonder if they were gonna make like replica dolls or what the plan was for that. I don't know that I've ever heard, but anyway, gut wrench suplex by Hawk early on one of the enhancement talents, and Hawk is always a guy that fascinates me. I think he could have been a singles guy had he wanted to be. I never really felt that way with Animal, but Hawk, something to him. Anyway, we do then see Hawk go to the top rope, hit the Doomsday Device, 1, 2, 3, and we're over. Update on the Mountie. Mountie basically is going to get fined and punished if he uses the shock stick again. Says he's going to take care of Sergeant Slaughter once and for all. Promises to equalize things. Chico Martinez and Shawn Michaels is up next. Michaels announced later in this or later in the next few programs will face Rick Martel at the SummerSlam event, but here still with the full-on mirror with Sensational Sherry. You know, Michaels in and around, going around. He actually hits a high knee and a drop kick, among other things, in this match. Martinez certainly not intimidating or faring very well. Does get a offensive maneuver or two, but then eventually we see the back kick from Michaels. Michaels again hits the back suplex, which is his finish at the time. So odd to me that he uses the back suplex and not the super kick, but we see that kind of come into play, I think in 93-ish, beginning of 93, and he stays with that for the remainder of his career. We go to the event center. Rick Martel talks about being a fashion model, talks about being one of the best in the world, talks about wanting to get even with Tatanka, and among other things. Then we see a inset promo with Virgil. Virgil talking about Papa Shango, talking about Skinner, talking about anyone he can get his hands on. Basically says he's going to knock people out. We see a music video of Randy Savage. They cover his whole career in music video form. Probably a hype video in the sense of getting us ready for SummerSlam, which they start promoting about 6 to 7 weeks before it happens. And I mean, imagine that. Imagine having 6 weeks to promote a pay-per-view, but also having 6 weeks to promote a pay-per-view that does millions of, well, maybe not millions, but hundreds of thousands of buys, and also sells out 80,000 people, in this case in Wembley Stadium. Bruce Mitchell and The Undertaker up next. Not the Pro Wrestling Torch reporter, although it does make me wonder if the name comes from, in fact, Heat with the Torch. Undertaker does the rope walk spot. Undertaker, again, here on the heels of his babyface turn just a few months before. Tombstone there, and the Berserker makes his way to the ring to try to get in the mind of the Undertaker. Nothing really happens with that, but the Undertaker sends the Berserker away. They don't actually wait. This is the one where they actually do brawl. I'd written that for the next week, but in reality, Undertaker brawls with Berserker here. Berserker does enter, and Mr. Fuji also comes in, distracts the Berserker for a minute or two, and Fuji runs out and kind of, some powder in the eyes, or sand or powder in the eyes of the Undertaker. doesn't nearly get the level of distraction wanted, but nothing really gets settled there. They're still doing a house show program. Skinner in the event center talks about basically having issues with Jack Tunney, among other things. Skinner is. Bret Hart talks about how hard it is to be the excellence of execution and wanting to get his hands on Shawn Michaels. And then we see Dwayne Gill and Tito Santana. Santana still a mainstay guy. Has been in the WWF now, 83 maybe? So, I mean, 8, 9, 10 years without fail. And I mean, once he's here, he never really goes to another national company once he's here. And I think that speaks a lot to a lot of the guys wanting the Tito spot where you keep a full-time living. You're always figured in somewhere, but not quite. Gill actually manages to clothesline himself on the top rope with a kind of a passover. Interesting thing. One of the few North American talents on the AAA pay-per-view in 1994 is Tito Santana. That just pops in my head. So there's a trivia note that people may have forgotten. Anyway, Tino manages to hit a backdrop out of the corner. Sets up for the El Paso de Muerte, otherwise known forearm back of the neck, and gets a victory there. Tito, a guy who, again, I've had the chance to meet him. Wonderful gentleman. Really loved the business up until the end of his run, and even on the independent scene. Kamala and Harvey Wippleman out next with an interview with Gene Okerlund. Basically, the idea here is Kamala is unstoppable and intimidates Okerlund into submission. Harvey Wippleman telling Okerlund to be on his to get on his knees if he doesn't want harpooned with a spear. So the whole idea here is that Wippleman gets to be a bully because Kemshi and Kamala are close by. Dublin Destroyer against Tatanka. Tatanka has not moved into another program yet, so still kind of with the Rick Martel thing. That seems to be dying off. I remember seeing them at a house show or two over the years, and while it wasn't a bad match per se, certainly not something to write home about. It was getting Tatanka ready for bigger things in the first quarter of 1993, so that leads to good things there, and Tatanka with a big back body drop. Dublin Destroyer, wonder if he actually was doing something with the gimmick. Tatanka does an inset promo where he talks about wanting to be a role model for the Native American children and whatever. Vertical suplex for Tatanka. Tatanka manages to continue to stay on track. Chops and the like by Tatanka. Hits the Samoan drop, 1, 2, 3, and over. Nails versus Rick Johnson is up next. Nails, a guy who is all gimmick. I know I've seen him wrestle in other places before the character, and he was allowed to do much more. Vertical suplex, almost a throw body slam combination, and then chokes by Nails. Nails obviously was brought in to do this character, and wasn't ever allowed to do anything bigger. Uses the nightstick that he stole from the Boss Man post-match as a weapon. We move into Money Incorporated versus Bobby Perez and Angel Vega. As is to be expected, Money Incorporated dominates that situation relatively handily. DiBiase and IRS, otherwise known as Mike Rotundo, are a good team for the 91-92 era, reminding myself that they are only a team for less than 2 full years, and good childhood memories of them. Remember seeing them in some matches with the Steiner brothers in early 93 that were pretty good. Got to see that on a house show or two. Anyway, Irish whip and a clothesline by IRS. The leaping clothesline is very well done. Tag off DiBiase. DiBiase, of course, probably one of the more well-known gimmicks in the area, period. For the time period, hits the $1 Million Dream and out goes one of the enhancement talents. Razor Ramon at a restaurant finishes his meal. Pink flamingos in the background, just kind of a really cool vibe. Anyway, the waiter brings his check. This angers Ramon because he believes he should be, I guess, given the opportunity to eat for free. He basically gets in the face of the waiter, clears the table by knocking all the food and plates off the table. That's that. Then the high energy promo that they've been doing for a while. We're to talk about the Nasty Boys, basically insinuating that the high energy is going to take care of the Nasty Boys once and for all. Berserker talks about being a guy who wants to go and take care of the Undertaker, can take the Undertaker out. And that's where we go. We close this program on that note. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.